everybody. It is Dr. Sasheen. It has been a while since I have been out on here, and so, hi. Oh, sorry, let me turn this down. I do not own the rights to that music, so don't even try it. Thanks for Facebook for alerting everyone that I'm here. Perfect. Welcome to Thursday, September. We're into September. It has really been a while since I've been live. Sorry, we've had some family drama in the background, some surgeries, sick kiddo, all that kind of thing. So I got a little bit, had to take the time off, got to take care of the fam. Always got to take care of the fam. Okay, so this week's message is all about communication. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Sasheen. You've reached Dr. Sasheen's page if you see me live here, or if you're catching this on the replay. I am Dr. Sasheen, also known as the Metaphysical Goddess, and I do divorce, mindset, and energy coaching. And today's topic, or actually for the rest of the month of September, we're going to be talking a lot about the art of communication and how it is impacting your ability to be happy and your ability to create the life that you want, and your ability to create the divorce that will get you from fearful to fantastic through the process, because there is a way to stop being afraid of the processes that are going on in our lives and begin to own them. So today's short little clip is all about communication and why isn't it working? I hear this so much. I've been teaching communication for a long time. And one of the things that I constantly hear, especially when I teach relational communication and I talk about relationships, is I don't understand why we're not able to communicate. And I like to say, you're communicating just fine. You just don't like what message you're sending and the reaction that you're getting with your message. We can communicate just fine. It isn't that we're not communicating, it's that we're simply not honoring and acknowledging the message that we're sending is giving back to us exactly what we're putting out. So here's a way to look at this. If your spouse or your significant other or your kids or whomever invariably reacts with anger to anything that you say, then what I would argue is that you're communicating just fine. There are two things that are happening. Either number one, you're communicating in anger and they're meeting anger with anger, or number two, you're communicating your truth and they're meeting that with anger. So which is it? Are you communicating your truth and that's being met with anger, or are you communicating anger and you're being met with anger? The difference makes the difference in how you then interpret what to say next. Because if you're communicating your truth and you're being met with resistance to your truth, not you're communicating with anger and you're being met with anger, because that's going to yield this kind of response. But if you're communicating your truth and you're being met with anger, this hurts, but as much as this hurts, look what happens. I can mute that by continuing to communicate my truth. So you have to be willing to stand in the truth of what you're saying if it's coming from the place of your truth of what you actually want to be saying. Let me say that again. If you're communicating your truth and it's being met with anger, and I'm not talking physical violence, but if it is, get out and get help. But it's being met with anger, look, you wrap that anger in more truth. And you keep speaking the truth of the moment that you're in. You keep speaking your truth and you keep communicating your truth. It isn't that people aren't communicating, and it isn't that communication isn't working. It's working exactly how you intend for it to work, because you decide when you open your mouth how you intend for the communication to come out of your mouth. That's a decision that you make. So own it. If it's your truth, own it. If it's anger and it's being met with anger and you have, sorry, lost a bit for a second. You have to decide what comes next. Do you continue to communicate with your anger and you continue to get hit back in anger, or do you stop and go, okay, what is the next thing that I can do to turn the tide of this conversation, of this moment of communication? And then you decide if you're going to meet anger with anger, or if you're going to walk away, or if you're going to meet anger with truth, or whatever the case may be. The myth of communication in relationships is that either we're under-communicating, we're over-communicating, we're miscommunicating, blah, 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 blah. For me, and hopefully you'll understand for you, the real truth about communication in relationships is that we're communicating exactly the way we need to in the moment, because we either haven't learned to communicate better, we're choosing not to learn to communicate better, or we're getting the response that we're hoping. And so we're communicating in a certain way. We cannot absolve others or ourselves of the consequences when we make communicative actions and we make communicative behaviors and we make communicative choices that then yield shit-tastic responses. We made the choice to open our mouth and say something. We make the choice to word things a certain way. None of us are children, unless you happen to be a child watching this, in which case turn it off. But none of us are children, and none of us can say, well, you forced me to say that. No. I chose to say that in the hopes that you would then not respond in kind. See, that's working, right? I chose to say something I knew might anger you, and you got angry. That worked. That totally worked. So asking, why isn't my communication working, back again, kind of tries to absolve you of the responsibility of taking ownership of the words that come out of your mouth. And you cannot absolve yourself of the responsibility for the words that come out of your mouth. It's your choice to call your spouse a bitch. It's your choice to call your spouse a shithead. It's your choice to downgrade and belittle your spouse. It is your choice to lift up and support your spouse. It is your choice to use words that create, and it is your choice to use words that destroy. It is your choice. So it isn't that your communication isn't working. It's working exactly as you intended to. The question needs to become, what do I intend to happen next, and how do I get there from here? That is a question that can be answered by doing your own internal work and deciding what it is exactly you want to see happen, and then aligning your communication to begin to make that a reality instead of the one that you're living. All right, that's been my short live this morning. We've cut in and out a few times, internet connections being what they are. But hopefully you found some nuggets in this brief video that allow you to think about, okay, how can I use my communication to get through the hard processes of my life, like divorce? For as wonderful as the idea of conscious uncoupling is to a lot of people right now, the reality is that divorce is hard. But how we choose to communicate as we're going through it can save not only our sanity, but our souls. Have a great one, everyone, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.